Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Shackelford, and I'm here to present to you the culmination of years of rigorous research, a quantitative investigation into the intricate relationship between college students, their demographics, financial literacy levels, and their financial socialization opportunities. The title of my study is a quantitative analysis of the relationship between current college students' levels of financial literacy and financial socialization. First, I'd like to go over my problem statement. In the United States, college students face a growing problem that affects their future in profound ways. Despite the recent student loan debt forgiveness initiatives, college students are still facing the highest amount of student loan debt in the history of the United States. This debt crisis has resulted from cultural and economic pressures to get a bachelor's degree, increasing tuition costs, and relatively low entry-level wages. These students have low financial literacy and therefore are struggling to understand financial information. The problem is clear. College students in the United States have low financial literacy and struggle with understanding financial information. These students' inability to understand financial terminology and processes leads to difficulty in understanding how to fund their education. And a recent study by Baylor and their co-authors has shed light on the issue and ignited this call to action. So next, I'd like to go over the purpose of this study. The purpose of this quantitative study is to investigate the relationship between college students' demographics, including gender, socioeconomic status, and first-generation status, their financial literacy levels, and financial socialization opportunities. In this era where student loan debt looms as a significant concern, understanding these relationships becomes paramount. I've spent time meticulously examining how these demographic characteristics intersect with their financial literacy levels and the opportunities they have for financial socialization. Next, I'd like to introduce the research questions that drove my study. This study addresses three pivotal research questions that have significant implications. My first research question dove into the heart of financial literacy and socialization. Specifically, I asked whether there is a statistically significant relationship between financial literacy and financial socialization. Turning to my second research question, I sought to uncover whether first generation status, gender, and socioeconomic status are statistically significant predictors of financial literacy of college students. Finally, my third research question. This question examined whether these same demographic variables, gender, first generation status, and socioeconomic status, could serve as statistically significant predictors of financial socialization among college students. Next, I'd like to review the theoretical framework that drove my study. The theoretical framework that drove my study is financial socialization theory. Michael Gutter and his colleagues developed the financial socialization theory as a framework to analyzing the defining characteristics that impact college students' financial behaviors. Illustrated in this image, the theory consists of three distinct components. The first component is comprised of two antecedents to financial social learning opportunities, which are demographic characteristics and financial characteristics. Financial characteristics are variables such as income or student loan debt that students may have. The second component of the financial socialization theory is social learning opportunities, which includes discussing finances with parents, discussing finances with friends, observing parents' financial behaviors, and observing friends' financial behaviors. The final component of the financial socialization theory is financial behaviors such as spending, budgeting, or the use of credit cards. Next, I'd like to go over the methodology of my study. First, I began by identifying the problem. I wanted to understand financial literacy levels among college students. I then dove into creating my research questions. The first, second, and third. The first one identifying the relationship between financial literacy and financial socialization, and the second and third researching the demographics that are predictors of those two variables. Next, I identified my population, which was Texas college students. I'm a resident of Texas and I work with these students, so that's why I chose this population. Next, I decided to continue with convenience sampling of students that were readily available on the campus that I am a part of and that wanted to participate in my survey. And finally, I obtained my IRB determination and approval from the gatekeepers at each of the college campuses I used in my study. Moving on to my quantitative data collection process, I made my initial contact to recruit students for participation. I sent out a recruiting email to the student populations and just invited them to participate if they'd like to. Next, I administered my Qualtrics online survey tool to my sample by email. Next, I gathered the responses for data analysis. Moving on to my quantitative data analysis process, I first reported my respondents and non-respondents. My non-respondents were students that submitted the survey, but due to a Qualtrics error, there were no answers to any of the questions, so I removed those. Step 2 is the descriptive analysis, including my frequencies and any missing data. And finally, my plan was to conduct an SPSS Pearson's R correlation and multiple regression analysis for my research questions. And I ended up moving on to a Kendall's nonparametric test due to my Pearson's R correlation not meeting assumptions. And step 4, I interpreted my results and discussed them. Moving on to the overview of findings, my first research question is regarding financial literacy and the relationship to financial socialization. And what I found was that current college students' financial literacy and financial socialization are negatively correlated, although the results of this finding were not statistically significant. That did relate to findings in the literature. In the literature, the researchers kind of conclude that males have financial literacy levels that are higher than non-male participants, which is similar to what I found. Lusardi found that Hispanic or Latino students have lower financial literacy levels than other races. I also found the same results. And overall, researchers disagree on whether financial socialization is significant or not. But overall, what I found is a monthly income of $1,000 or more had the highest mean financial literacy score, and a monthly income of $1 to $499 scored the lowest on financial literacy. Moving on to my second findings, I found that gender is a significant predictor of college students' financial literacy levels. The first generation status and socioeconomic status were not significant predictors. Utkarsh and their co-authors found males had a mean financial literacy of 2.70 and their female counterparts ranked 2.18. So this aligns with my findings that males do have a higher financial literacy and gender is a significant predictor. Lusardi and their co-authors also found that gender significantly predicts college students' financial literacy, which aligns with my findings. And finally, researchers generally agree that male college students do have a significantly higher financial literacy level than women. My third finding is regarding the demographic characteristics and financial socialization. And what I found is that first generation status and socioeconomic status are significant predictors of college students' financial socialization. First generation status was the best predictor of college students' financial socialization levels. So first generation students are having these discussions and observing these behaviors more than non-first generation students. Students who had a monthly income of $1 to $499 and an income of $1,000 or more had lower levels of financial socialization. And this finding was similar to Michael Gutter and his co-authors that created the theoretical framework. In the medium income level, $500 to $999 a month had the most discussions and observations of their family and friends' financial behaviors, which is the same as Michael Gutter and his co-authors found. Next, I'd like to move on to my implications. First is the implications for college administrators. They should require financial literacy education for all students and earlier on into childhood. Equal opportunities, regardless of gender, are necessary. They need to implement programs facilitating financial conversations with first-generation students specifically. And finally, we need to simplify financial processes and terminology to make the applications and financial processes easier for students to understand. Next are the implications for financial aid professionals. First, to increase awareness and support students with their personal finances to improve financial literacy. Second is to review students' overall financial circumstances before dispersing loans to help them make the most informed decision that they can. Next, make financial literacy a primary focus of conversation. And finally, engage in professional development to hone in these skills to help students. Next are the implications for college students and their families. Early financial socialization within the family is important. Having these discussions and ensuring that parents are engaging in financial behaviors in front of their students. Maintaining positive attitudes toward money. Influencing children to create financial healthy habits. And finally, current first generation students should take the initiative to develop those financial habits that they may not have been able to observe or discuss with their parents. Finally, I'd like to go over my distribution plan for my research. First, I would like to publish in academic journals. The first journal I chose is Family and Consumer Sciences Research. I chose this journal because Michael Gutter and his co-authors published the financial socialization theory research in this journal. So across the board, my study would fit well in this academic journal. Numeracy is another academic journal I'd like to be published in. The nature of financial literacy and student loan debt fit well with numeracy and literacy and math subjects in this journal. Second, I would like to engage in professional presentations. I'd like to present the study at professional conferences. An example is NASFA, which is the National Association of Student Financial Aid Advisors. And second, I'd like to present results to the college leadership at the college and university involved in my study. In closing, I'd like to thank you for your time, your insights, and your commitment to emerging research. Thank you.